Hello everyone, I'm Trisha, it's me Jenny. It's time for another not naked video response to Trisha Hershberger's series Naked Truth, where we talk as candidly and as truthfully as possible about a subject of her choosing, straight out the shower, no makeup, wet hair, first take, one take, and so on and so forth. Most people choose to do it naked, but I choose not to. In fact, I'm cold, so I'm wearing a hoodie as well as my usual PJs. But either way, it's not a sexy time thing, it's not a provocative thing, it's a tool for the vlogger to be vulnerable and honest, and I always feel vulnerable enough in my jammies for the most part. So yeah, and today's subject is times when you feel like a superhero, because Trisha has just given birth, and from the sound of it, it was a pretty difficult process, on top of it being naturally a pretty difficult process. It was quite a difficult one specifically for her and little baby Logan. So yeah, it took a long time to think of anything really for this question. I feel like in order to feel like you're doing something impressive, you have to actively endeavour to try and do something impressive. And I'm not very good at that sort of thing where I outgo and I, you know, physically test myself as hard as I can, or even mentally test myself as hard as I can. Like the closest I get to it is like in my old job. I got to the point where I could like, I'd leave work and I'm like, I am so good at my job. I am a god among ants, because I was like able to do everything and do it properly and do things that I know other people wouldn't have been able to do in the time allowed. Like I was able to do my office stuff, I was able to do my like front of house practical stuff, I was able to do the job that I've been putting off for like ages because I haven't had time, and I managed to do that and do all the things that I was meant to do and do it well and do it beautifully, and I'm not at that point at my new job yet. I had like a little twinge of it the other day where like I sort of got into a bit of a rhythm, but I don't know if I'm gonna get that anytime soon. I mean, I was at my old job 4 years, and you know, I didn't really get that natural thing for about 2 years. I've only been at my new job about 3 months, so I shouldn't expect it, but I miss it. I miss like knowing what I'm doing and just flowing, and then like getting to the end of the day and be like, yeah, I did a really good job, I did things that other people wouldn't do. At the moment I'm still kind of in the kind of, I'm getting better, but I'm still at the point where I'm wandering around like, I don't know, I'm standing still because I don't want to, like, I'm not. So I don't feel like a superhero at the moment. I really don't. Like in terms of like physical effort, the first time I went running last year, and I ended up running for I think an hour and a half, and I haven't been able to do that since. I got to the end of that one and thought, wow, that was amazing. But I haven't really done anything else where I've been impressed with myself lately. Like, at least not to the level where I'm like, yes, I'm amazing. Most of the time I'm just like, oh well, I'll be fine. I'm like, you know, my kind of go-to self-esteem is, you know, I did okay, my nose is in the right place, I've still got the right number of eyes, I'm doing okay. So yeah, I haven't done anything superhero-y lately, and I feel like I probably should, but I also feel like, you know, in order to, it's one of the reasons that, this is going to go really meta and kind of off topic, so bear with me. One of the reasons why I never really started writing books is there was a book that I believe is Inkheart, where at some point one of the characters says that, why don't people stop reading this book if we were all characters, because in order for us to have adventures we have to go through bad stuff, we have to go through tragedy and trauma and all those sort of things. And like, in order for me to be a superhero to myself or others, then myself or others have to go through suffering, and I'd rather not experience that or enforce that for the sake of my own going up in the world. So yeah, in order to feel like a superhero, I would have to go through some pain and suffering and get through it, and at the moment I'm quite content not going through the pain and suffering. But yeah, that sounds really weird and really meta and kind of mean, now that I've said it out loud, but yeah. Life happens around you, and so like humans are immensely flexible and develop skills that they can never expect to get through, and tolerant and just hard-wearing entities. So the amazing thing is, when we are faced with incredible difficulties, we usually rise to the challenge. And that's when, you feel like a superhero. And I'm not very good at that because I don't really put myself in situations where I would need to rise to the challenge, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I don't know. Yeah. One of the things I was going to mention to you specifically, Trisha, in the, not last video but the video before, is my mum has recently mentioned to me that when her mum, my grandma, had my aunt, my mum's sister, her recovery time was so long that she was learning to walk again when my auntie was learning to walk. So that would have been at least 2.5 years-ish of her being physically unable to get out of bed after giving birth. It was a particularly bad situation there. I never discussed it with my grandma when she was alive, and I never met my grandpa. I could probably ask my aunt about it, but she probably wouldn't remember. But yeah, the thing about recovery time is it does take a while. It's a lot of physical strain that people go through. Like, as I said, women, well, not women particularly, but humans generally, but women who have given birth are, it's amazing how fast. It is amazing the physical trauma your body goes through and how fast it does recover. It's extraordinary. It's a feat of human endurance to get to the other side of that, and your body goes more or less back to the way it always was. But it is still physically traumatic. And it's okay to take the time to recover. It is like a very silly point that we're at in human society where, you know, women don't want to be treated like delicate flowers, but it's very silly to expect someone who has physically pushed another human being out of themselves after carrying that human being to be back up on their feet and up and running straight off the bat. And I'm always like, mothers are amazing. I've said before, I'm a long way off ever producing offspring of my own, but mothers are extraordinary. I think with me and my twin sister, my mum had a hard time with us, even though we were about, I think, 7 weeks underbaked. You know, having two in succession would have been quite hard, and I think in a way she, like, because we had to spend so long in the hospital, it kind of gave her a little bit more relief than other mothers often get, in that because we were physically not able to leave the hospital, me and my sister, for a few weeks, she actually got a little bit more natural recovery time. I think. Again, I didn't discuss this beforehand with her before filming this video, but yeah. So, you know, take your time. And, you know, I think you're doing all the right things, and by the sound of it, you had a rough time of it, so, you know, you are a superhero. I think any woman who can get through that is a superhero, and women have been doing it for all of time, so good job. And generally, you know, the mortality rate of young children and the healthy birth rate of young women, and older women for that matter, has drastically increased in the last couple of years, which is fantastic. But as I said, my grandpa was a specialist maternity doctor. Obviously he was born in the Victorian era, so his speciality may not have been as good as current modern standards, but given that as a subset and the fact that he was there for my grandma, and it still took a couple of years to get back out of bed after giving birth, that shows you how much of a risk it is giving birth and how much of a physical trial it is. So, you know, you're a superhero. Yeah. Anyway, that's about it. If I think of anything else that I'm like, I'm a superhero, I will probably, you know, send another message or something. But yeah, I just basically feel like a superhero whenever I do something that is more than average. I'm a pretty standard average human being. But yeah, I can't think of any good examples right now. But when I have them, I'm sure I'll let someone know, because that's what vloggers do. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for putting up with the fact that I can barely speak English right now. Feel free to comment, and I will see you guys all next week. Trisha, you're a superhero. Very proud of you for getting through that. And I hope little Logan and you are doing a little bit better this week, because every day is a little step for improvement in getting back on your feet. So yeah, I will see you guys all when I do. And And yeah, it's weird talking about superheroes, I've just realised, in my Pops t-shirt. So yeah, very appropriate. Did not realise that connection until just now. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye for now.